The NHL playoffs are finally here. Unfortunately, my team couldn't make it, so I'll be watching from the couch as 16 teams battle it out to see who wins the Stanley Cup. I believe this is year number 4 of us doing the playoff prediction videos, and last year I actually predicted the winner correct. Just ignore the fact that I also picked them in every other video until they won, but this is gonna be a more chill style video. I don't have a script. I'm kind of just going off the top of my head because I feel like it's a prediction video. It's supposed to be just pure thoughts, and I feel like writing down a script for a video like this would just feel sort of unnatural. I've created my own custom playoff bracket for today's video and will be using it as I break down each series. In addition, I've created a bracket challenge league for all of you guys to join, and the link will be pinned down below. With that being said, normally I start in the Western Conference, but we're gonna start in the Eastern Conference, and the first series is Boston and Florida. Now, obviously, I'll be pulling for Florida here because MacLeod's on the team, but I feel like the Panthers are actually going to put up more of a challenge against Boston than many people assume. We've seen Boston make history on multiple occasions, and as a hockey history nut, it's awesome to see. Most wins ever, most points ever, it's insane. And they're going to be coming into this postseason hot. However, Florida is also very determined to prove that they're not here to get pushed around. It sounds like I'm building this up to pick Florida as the winner. I do still think they come up short, but I'm gonna say Boston wins this, and we'll say 6 games. A lot of people will say that, oh, Tampa Bay lost when they were the best team in the league. But to be fair, you could use that for any best team in the league for any playoffs in the first round. And yes, it's funny because Bobrovsky's in net for Florida and Bobrovsky was in net in the Columbus series. I do think Florida is able to win a couple games, but I have Boston in 6. And right below them is Toronto and Tampa Bay. For whatever reason, a lot of people are just completely overlooking the Lightning, which I think is nuts. Nikita Kucherov had probably one of the most quietest 110-point seasons ever, and playoff Vasilevsky has proven to be an absolute unit. People are gonna joke, they're gonna say, oh, Toronto should lose in round 1 again because haha funny. I think I may have picked them to win last season. I'm not quite sure when around. I think I'm going to pick Toronto to win this series, but you know, as usual, it's going to go to that 7th game. I think it's a little too bold to say 6. This is a Tampa team that has won back-to-back Stanley Cups recently and have been to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals, so to completely discredit and discount them would be foolish. Moving on to Carolina and the Islanders, a lot of people are going to say Carolina doesn't have Svechnikov, so that's why they're going to lose, or their goaltending shaky, that's why they're going to lose. I kind of flip-flop back and forth. It's kind of the same thing with the Lightning. The fact that people are kind of underestimating the Hurricanes is insane. They had a great regular season, first place in the Metropolitan Division for a reason. This series is going to be a complete defensive battle. The Islanders and the Hurricanes are defensive juggernauts, and despite Carolina not having Svechnikov, their offense is still really good. That being said, I do actually have the Islanders winning this series in 7 games. A lot of people want to be kind of conservative and pick those 6 and 7 games, and I think I'm going to follow that route. I think a lot of these series are going to be close in the East because the Eastern Conference is just so stacked. I am giving the Islanders the edge, however, as I'm just more confident in Sorokin, and Matt Barzal is coming back, and he and Horvat have been a pretty dynamic duo from the games that I have seen with both of them in the lineup. And finally, probably the most exciting series, Devils Rangers. This is going to be extremely fun down to the wire. I'm picking this goes 7 in overtime just for the pure entertainment value. There's been so many iconic moments between both of these teams in big playoff games. I hope we see it this time around. The Devils, they're a very young team, very young and experienced, and they're facing a Rangers team who literally last year made it to the Eastern Conference Final. I have the Rangers in Game 7 overtime. I'm saying overtime because it's fun, but don't count out the Devils. I think the Devils will make this series fun. The rivalry, that bitterness between both teams, it's going to be a great series, but Rangers win. Moving on to round 2 in the Eastern Conference, we have the dreaded matchup for Toronto fans, Boston and Toronto. Again, who's gonna win? Unfortunately, Toronto fans have Boston again. I think once Boston gets going, they're going to be hot. Toronto, I do think wins a round, but I don't know. It's Samsonov. I'm not too sure in fact, I don't even know if Toronto's management is too sure of Samsonov. I believe I saw one report saying, whether or not he gets a contract or not depends on the success of Toronto in the postseason. A lot's on the line here for Toronto, but I just think Boston's the more dominant team. I'm going to say this goes 7 again, but Boston will pull through. And then the other series is now a battle of New York, the Islanders and the Rangers. And again, I think the Islanders will put up a very good fight. They are a strong team, so they know how to buckle it down in the playoffs. Sorokin versus Shesterkin is going to be absolutely insane if this happens. But again, I'm going to give the edge to the Rangers, and I think the Rangers will win this in 6 games. Which means the Eastern Conference Final is the big bad Boston Bruins versus the New York Rangers. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I'm one of those fans that aren't confident that Boston could actually win it all. When I mentioned the whole skepticism because of the Lightning, I feel like now is the time where it kind of applies. Now, listen, once these teams get hot in the postseason, they are going to be dominant. You don't want to give these guys an edge because they will steamroll you, but I do think that Boston will eventually get upset somewhere in this playoff bracket. If they do go all the way and they win it, you can make fun of me, you can clown me for it. Obviously, they're a great team, but I feel like if I'm gonna predict them to be upset, I feel like this is the series where I could sort of get away with doing that. The Rangers in back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals, I feel like they'd want to make that final push. And plus, you're playing Boston. You have that extra motivation. Like, this is the super team. We need to kick their butt. And I think the Rangers will be able to do just that. Probably gonna go to distance 7 games, but I have the Rangers winning. The Rangers will go to the Stanley Cup representing the Eastern Conference, shocking the Boston Bruins in 7 games. You have to have fun. You have to predict a couple upsets. So I have the Rangers going to the finals instead of the Bruins. So now that we have someone coming out of the East, we need to get someone coming out of the West. And I'm going to head over, I'm going to start at the bottom, and we're going to go Dallas, Minnesota. And I'm going to start from the bottom, and we're going to go Dallas, Minnesota. This playoffs, I'll be rooting for Minnesota. That's the team I decided to root for. I watch a lot of Minnesota games with my dad, but unfortunately, I have Dallas winning this series. I've seen firsthand how scary Dallas can be in the playoffs. I saw it when the Flames lost to Dallas. I saw it when the Flames beat Dallas. It took Calgary 2 years and a Game 7 overtime to finally beat these guys. Jake Ottinger, once he gets hot, he's going to stay hot. The Western Conference, I feel, really lacks, eye-popping goaltending, but Dallas is one of those teams that has that. They have the edge. I'm not quite sure if Eriksson is going to be able to come back for the playoffs, if he's going to miss a couple games. That could also really affect the Wild because Eriksson is a staple on that offense. I'm going to say Dallas beats Minnesota in 6 games. The next series is Colorado versus the Kraken. I'm going to be honest, I'm not really sold on the Kraken, and I think it's mainly because of Martin Jones, because Martin Jones is hit or miss. You're either going to get the really good Martin Jones in the playoffs, or you're going to get, the Martin Jones that people are sort of normally used to, where he's not really great, or he'll make a mistake, and it's the Avalanche. I know they're going to miss Landeskog, which is going to be a hit to their offense, but even without him, they've still been able to win a lot of games. My only fear is Georgiev, and I'll get to that eventually, but I do think the Avalanche will probably get rid of the Kraken a lot sooner. I've been picking a lot of Game 6s and Game 7s. There's going to be series where people sweep. There's going to be series, where it goes to 5. I think this goes to 5. I have the Avalanche beating the Kraken in 5 games. Moving on, we have LA and Edmonton. LA is a great team. They've improved from last year a lot. I'm excited for them. LA is building something nice over there, but I do think that Edmonton wins this series. I'm going to say in 6. LA is going to put up a fight, but it's McDavid and Draisaitl and all those guys. Again, I saw it last year. It's not just McDavid and Draisaitl. Hyman, Evander Kane, Nugent Hop. My only fear is Stuart Skinner. If Stuart Skinner plays, I'm kind of worried. But Edmonton made the Western Conference Final with Mike Smith, and I'm pretty sure that Stuart Skinner can win them around. The same thing is kind of with LA. I'm pretty sure Korpisalo plays. If Copley plays, I'm not confident in Copley in the playoffs, but for Korpisalo, I think, put on a decent showing. Edmonton still wins in 6. And finally, it's Vegas and Winnipeg, and I had a discussion with one of my buddies about this when making this prediction. I think I'm gonna give this series to Winnipeg. Originally, I was going to do Vegas, but something made me want to switch it up, and I think it's mainly because we've seen Winnipeg play spoiler before. I think a lot of people are gonna expect Vegas to win this series, but Winnipeg, throughout the last couple of weeks, have had to fight tooth and nail, and they've played like every game is counted, and they have that fire, they have that determination, and headed into the playoffs with that type of momentum and that type of energy boost is going to be extremely beneficial. Plus, it's Connor Hellebuck. Again, the Western Conference in terms of goaltending kinda shaky, and Winnipeg is one of those lucky teams that has a very solid goaltender in net. I don't know if I'm very confident in Logan Thompson. I have Winnipeg winning this series, honestly, in either 6 or 7. I'll say 6. Winnipeg in 6. Why not? Go ahead. I'll say that one, which means Winnipeg would go on to play Edmonton. So let's just go right into that one. I just hyped up Winnipeg. I think this is where it ends. They're probably going to win a round, but it's Edmonton. I think Edmonton has the edge. I think Edmonton will most likely beat Winnipeg in 6-2, and they'll be moving on to the Western Conference Final. The next series is Dallas and Colorado. I'm very excited that this turns out to be a series. And I mentioned that, I'm not too confident in Georgiev, and I think this is where that plays in. People could make the argument that yes, Ottinger was very, very good, but the Flames still won the series. That's very true, but I'm not quite sold with Georgiev, and I'm not sure how he'll be able to do as he goes deeper into the playoffs. In addition, as you get deeper into the playoffs, certain players are going to get banged up, and this could also be where Colorado could use a guy like Landeskog. I have Dallas winning this one in 7 games. It does still go the distance, meaning Dallas would play Edmonton to see who would represent the Western Conference and play the Rangers in the Stanley Cup Final. A lot of people are really, really sold on Edmonton this season, and rightfully so. They're a great team. Stuart Skinner and Jack Campbell, they are better than Smith and Koskinen. I'm really sold on Dallas this year. I'm very confident that they can really go far. Once they get hot, I think they're going to continue it. And if they can beat the Avalanche, they're going to be fired up. But I've seen how guys like Pavelski has played in the playoffs when the game's on the line, and I've seen their, role players step it up and score key goals. I just think that Dallas is going to pull this out. I've seen people already pick Edmonton over Dallas. I'm going to be different. I'm going to pick Dallas over Edmonton. Dallas will go to the Stanley Cup Final. I think they'll beat Edmonton in 6 games. I think the winner of this series wins in 6. So the Stanley Cup Final, probably an odd one. I think a lot of people would pick certain teams, but I like to be different. Dallas and New York. I think this will be a very fun series. Patty Kane, Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, Adam Fox, Tarasenko facing off against Jason Robertson, Roope Hintz, Miro Heiskanen, Joe Pavelski. This is a star-studded Stanley Cup Final. And in the pipes, Shesterkin versus Ottinger? That's gonna be nuts. So, who do I have winning it all? Between these two, who wins the Stanley Cup? My gut tells me that I think Dallas goes all the way. I'm really putting all my chips in on Dallas. I think Dallas will win this series in 6. I'm going to say 6. I wanted to say 7, but 7 feels like, the safe bet. I feel like a lot of people, when a series I know is going to be close, they'll say, 7 games, but I'm going to say 6. Dallas wins the Stanley Cup Final in 6 games over the New York Rangers in a very fun series, high-scoring affair, and a ton of memorable moments. Who do you guys think will win it all. Leave your predictions down below. If you want to make fun of my picks, go ahead, do that. You know, I like to say every year they're predictions. I don't really understand how a prediction could be wrong before the playoffs even start. We haven't even started yet. It could be wrong in 2 weeks, which, you know, I'm not saying my bracket's perfect. A lot of these picks are probably going to be wrong, but that's the fun in predicting. But with that, that's going to do it. A little update for you guys who are consistent viewers. I know I haven't been posting as consistently. I am finishing up college. I have 2 weeks left. I can graduate and then I can get into the field that I'm hoping to get into. It's very exciting. I've been working very hard. It's kind of been, you know, holding me back from posting as much as I'd like to, but I think the benefits of doing college will pay off. You know, if you guys have anything you want to achieve, go out and do it. Work hard for it because hard work pays off. But once college is done, I'm hoping to be back and consistently uploading all throughout the playoffs, all throughout the off season. I got a ton of fun ideas coming along the way. But with that, that's going to do it for my playoff predictions. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video.